Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Highway. And you've got there Sleuth steaming along what appears to be actually the opposite, kind of opposing traffic. He's in a section of the highway with cars driving in the opposite direction to himself, presumably speeding down the highway towards the next scene of a crime, trying to solve that as urgently as possible. Certainly not something that I would recommend. Now, a little bit of a backstory about today's puzzle before we get into it. Just a caveat, I'm almost like laying down my excuses in advance before I actually take a go at this one. I had received this email from an individual who was very clear that he'd prefer to remain anonymous. I'm assuming I'm actually not sure based on the name. That he sort of struggled with this puzzle a little bit and would appreciate if I can actually feature it on the channel, solve it, and see how I get it on. And he's had a bit of trouble. I've restarted it 7 times over the last couple of days and I just can't crack it. Now, the puzzle that we're actually taking a look at today, it's ironic, just given we were just discussing how I want to avoid featuring extremely difficult puzzles. This is all about trying to make sure that it's enjoyable puzzles that 90% of us can solve. More on that in a second, actually. And here I am featuring the first 4-star difficulty rated puzzle on the channel. Now, I am mentioning that, and I'm also going to point out it's Friday night, it's quite late, 10 p.m. my time. We've just come home from the pub, Mrs. and I, with our lovely neighbors. First drink with them, actually, just to get to know them a little bit. So I'm not entirely certain I've got this, by the way. Now, I did say I'm going to come back to the difficulty. So I think with a little bit of the peer pressure that we have all collectively placed on Mrs. Sleuth, this morning I actually saw her playing some Sudokus. And then she was actually doing quite well with the classic Sudokus. She was doing the easy ones, the medium ones. She was actually getting stuck really on hard ones where I was looking at them and thinking, yeah, that's hard. That would take me a while. So she's clearly very capable. And I even pointed her towards some variants. So she solved all of the full deck and missing a few card variant puzzles that I featured. And I think she feels like it seems like she's excited at least about doing a handful of puzzles on the channel. So hopefully more on that soon enough. So I haven't quite figured it out. She's giving me mixed signals between solving Sudokus, getting into variants, almost complaining that there aren't enough, approachable variants for her to solve. And also saying, no, I'm not going to get onto the channel until you hit 10,000 subscribers. We'll figure it out. But please keep on the pressure. We can get her on there. And I think I'm really looking forward to a weekly special from Mrs. Sleuth. Right, pretty long intro. I don't even know how long I've been recording. 3 minutes. Shall we take a look at the puzzle that actually started this whole discussion? Let's do that. So we have Highway by, I'm going to pronounce this as Mujika. And if you are the constructor, by all means, do point out if I'm mispronouncing your name, please. And I'm going to say relatively straightforward set of rules. I don't know if that's entirely correct. It's just, we featured a lot of puzzles that have tons of rule sets. So normal Sudoku rules apply. You all know what that means. Place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. If I mumble and rumble, you know why. Cells that are a chess knight's move apart must not contain the same number. I am very worried about this rule in my current state. So that means if this cell here, which I highlighted in blue, is a 2, it means that anything that is a chess move away, a knight's chess move away, cannot be a 2. Now, Sudoku would exclude all of these cells and everything in the same box, so same column, same row, same box. So all of these, which I'm going to just highlight in gray for a second, cannot be 2. But if you think about chess knight's move, it's essentially 2 steps forward, 1 step to the side. This can no longer be a 2. This cannot be a 2. This. And as I'm sure it will probably involve it in the solve, you can see that chess knight's move can actually be immensely restrictive when you use it. We'll see more of that, I am absolutely certain, as part of the solve. We have cells within the gray squares must be even digits. Kind of ironic that I picked gray now because, all of these are gray. There's only one gray square. That has to be an even digit. It's going to be from 2, 4, 6, 8. We have numbers in cages, sum to the number in the top left corner of the cage, arrows, and something about diagonals, little killers. So, cages first. If this cell here was a 2, this would have to be a 5 because there is a cage around these 2 cells in the dashed line. And it says there with the 7 that these 2 cells must sum up to 7. So if that's a 2, that has to be a 5. There's no other way around it. We have the arrow here where it's saying that if you have 2 cells on the arrow, the sum of those cells must be in the circle. If that's 2 and that's 4, that would mean that this would be a 6. Lastly, we have little killer clues. We have, I don't want to give the game away and start actually solving anything. So you're going to have to forgive me for coming up with something that is not a complete example. These 6 cells, which you can see are pointed out by this arrow pointing towards this diagonal, must sum up to 15. I already have a 2 in there. That means that these 3 must add up to 13. These 5 must add up to 13, and so on and so forth. We've got 24 up here, 6 here in these 3 cells, etc. So, only thing left to say is wish me luck. And same to you. Good luck if you're attempting this. If you want to, link will be in the description down below as usual. It is a Saturday. We've got all weekend to crack this one. And let me restart the clock, see how I get on. So, I did say I don't want to look at the 6 little killer clue, because that's forced. So at least I know that much. These 3 cells have to add up to 6. Only one way of doing it in 3 cells. It is 1, 2, 3, especially since they're all unique digits. That is fixed. Now the 15 and 24 are sort of interesting. And I'm actually going to use some colors probably today just to sort of point out a few things as I go along. So these blue cells have to sum up to 15. Now, the minimum I can make them is 12. 1, 2, 3 in all of these. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 again, because obviously they don't have to be unique, otherwise we won't get into 15. So it's still a lot of degrees of freedom. 13, 14, 15, plenty of degrees of freedom. Unless... yeah, of course. So this is where knight's chess move starts to get tricky. This cell here, in fact, not just this cell, these 2 cells, cannot be any of 1, 2, or 3. And the reason I say that is with Sudoku, we're going to use tons of coloring this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do this. I am going to go blue, purple, green. Right, this cell here, I know, is none of these cells. And I'm actually going to give it yellow. Because it sees blue with a chess knight move, purple with a chess knight move, and green with Sudoku. Same is true for this one here. You can see blue with Sudoku, purple, and green with chess knight move. Both of these, at a minimum, absolute minimum, are 4s. I need to figure out how many degrees of freedom I still have left. So between these 2 cells, an absolute minimum, they're already at 8, leaving me only 1 degree of freedom left, because I have to get to 7 in these remaining 2 cells. Sorry, 2 cells in each box, so 4 cells. So if I put a 1 and 2 in each of these, the absolute minimum that I can place, these are 6 together. So 3, 3, that's already 6. Plus these, that's at 14. I'll have only 1 degree of freedom away from 15. So one of these could be a 5. One of these could be not a 2, could be a 3. But one thing's for certain is I have to have 1s in all of these. If neither is a 1, that's 2, 3, 4, that's 9. Again, 2, and it doesn't matter actually if I absolutely minimize this. 2, 3, 4 would be a 9. These would have to add up to 6, but they can't because I'm already at a minimum of 4 in this cell. Therefore, these 2 can only be 1, 2, and a 4. That's 7 plus 9. That's too big for 15. That's 16. So I have to have a 1. And the 1s in these cells see the blue one. So with Sudoku, with knight move, Blue cannot be 1. These two can see green. Green cannot be 1. Purple is 1. That's not, excuse me, that's our first digit. 3 minutes in, that's not too bad. These are 1s. That's not a 1. These are 1s. I don't know if I'm going to keep coloring, but how about if it'll help if I'm actually choosing the corrects. And no. I still have a degree of freedom, don't I? Okay, let's think about that. This is blue. Knights move away from this cell. That's a green. This is blue because that's green. Knights move away. That can't be green. That's blue. These two are different. They add up to 5, 6, 7. These two cells have to be an 8 to make sure 7 plus 8 add up to 15. They have to be the minimum. They are both 4s. And these two are indeed different. We're off to a pretty good start. I imagine we can keep going. I just need to sort of, probably 24 is next, but I just want to, can I do any Sudoku at this point? Kind of. Not quite. Right, let's think about 1s first. So 1s in sort of the left-hand section of the grid, where can it be in box 1? Well, it can only be in these 2 cells. Can't be this one because that's a knight's move away from this one. And yeah, neither of these. This one, knight's move, 1 is in here, which means that there is no 1s in these 2 boxes on the 24 diagonal. So the absolute minimum I can make these now is 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. That's 9, 9, 18. That forces me to put 6 in here, which has to be 1, 2, and 3. We've already established that from the very beginning in box 7. These are not 1s. That's a 1. We can carry on with the coloring. That has to be blue because it sees green from a knight's move away. Yeah, that's got to be green. I mean, aside from the fact that blue is in the box, that's got to be green. 18 is starting to look a bit more interesting, but we'll come back to that. What we did establish, though, is these have to be from 2, 3, 4, because now I have to do the absolute minimum given that I don't have 1s in boxes 1 and 9. And together now, they do add up to 24. No, hang on. What do I know about these? That's not 4. That's not 4. That's got to be 2, 3. It's not blue. It is green. Therefore, I need blue in one of these and a 4, or yellow. Blue is not this cell. That's blue. So that's not the 4. That is the 4. That's yellow. I don't know if there's any use in actually coloring the 4, by the way, yellow. But I'm guessing I've got something very similar. That's blue. I need a green cell between these two. That can't be the green in here because of Sudoku. That's green. That's not 4. That is 4. And I am going to remove coloring for the 4. I'm not finding it very useful, but the 2, 3 I will keep. I don't think I need the 1s either. Right. Where next? We can do Sudoku. 2 3s in box 4. I mean, blue 2, 3 specifically. Can only be in one cell. It's in here. That's 2, 3. That's blue. I'm guessing I could do something similar with greens. Yes. You can see all of these can't be green. That's the only place for green. So I've done blue and green in all of these boxes except these 3. So I'm going to come to them in a second. Can I do anything interesting with 1s maybe? Doesn't look like it, at least. Not yet. I mean, 4 plus 2 or 3 gives me 6 or 7. So that's interesting. 4 can't be in any of these cells. It's part of the 18 cage. I am going to come back to the 18 cage. Just hold your horses. I just don't know if I want to go there just yet. Let's just see if we can do more with Sudoku first. I don't know, it's kind of running out of steam. None of these are blue, just Sudoku. There's blue up there. None of these are blue. There's blue in here. Right, let's think about blue. Blue is in none of these cells. Blue is in none of these cells. Now, something that I didn't say that we're going to do some anti-knight trickery here. None of these could be blue. If that's blue, we'll see this cell with Sudoku. It would see this cell with knight move. That can't be blue. And the reverse is true. It would see it with Sudoku. It would see it with knight move. So if you actually look at where blue is in box 3, it's none of these cells, none of these two, otherwise it breaks box 2. None of these, that's blue, which gives me, that's not blue, that is blue, that's 2 or 3 as well. And that's as far as I could take it. I don't see how I can break into these at this point. Probably something similar going on with the green 2, 3. None of these are green. Green is in one of these two cells. Green, you can see, is in one of these two cells. It's actually not that helpful. No, it is, excuse me. Right, let's carry on. Sudoku, Sudoku, double knight move. You know, can't be this one because it's Sudoku and knight move. Can't be that one because it's Sudoku and knight move. Green has to be in here, inside the 7, which is very interesting. That's not green anymore. That's 2, 3. And that means that there is either a 2 or a 3 in here with presumably a 4. Only one way of doing 4, so that would be 4 and 3 or 2 and 5, depending on what green and blue are. And it seems like this is as far as I can take green and blue. Ones. Yeah, really not sure actually. Why am I so unsure about it? Ones are not here. Ones are not there. That's why. Right. Knight's move. This one can see all of these cells. That one is obvious. Can see both of these with knight's move. Ironically, I started with the anti-knight move here in the center cell, and I sort of ignore the fact that he sees all of these. So ones are limited to one of these sets. In fact, specifically to this set because of this one. So ones in box 1 and 2, you can see are lining up in rows 1 and 2. 1 in box 3 is in neither of these cells, cannot be inside the 7 cage. We've already established because there is a green one in there. That's a 1. None of these are 1s. Just Sudoku now, no need for anything fancy with anti-knights. These are 1s. I think that's all the 1s, 2s, and 3s pencil marked, at least. Yeah, pretty much everywhere. 4s, any phenomenal tricks with 4s? No. Yep. I can actually place a 4 in this box. Just plain Sudoku. Almost missed it. What about in here? Yeah, this is sort of, you see the trickery with anti-knight move now is I'm going to end up with loads of places where 4 can be, and then I'm going to have to work my way through them to start excluding what isn't possible. I don't know if I have, if I'm entirely being honest, the energy for this right now. And 4 is in one of these 3 cells. Right, so that's all the 4's pencil marked, or at least corner pencil marked. Now, I strongly suspect some of these will not work for various reasons. And I just need to start doing some kind of anti-knight cleverly things that I'm not sure I have it in me right now. What's wrong with this 4? Yeah, I'm going to have to use more color. Sorry about that. If that's 4, well, it would restrict a 4 to here. That much is obvious. 4 couldn't be anywhere in these 2 cells because it can see it with Sudoku and knight move, so that would be 4. This couldn't be a 4. This couldn't be a 4 because of knight move. This couldn't be a 4 because of Sudoku. I've broken it. There are no 4s left in box 2. Yeah, this is going to be very tricky now. can I use this 4? If that's a 4, this is not 4, this is not 4, this would be 4. It's interesting that so far in all my examples, this is always the 4. No, it's not. Previous one, that was the 4. So ignore that, ignore. That puts a 4 in one of these two cells and puts a 4 in one of these two cells. That looks entirely plausible to me. Tricky to solve, but plausible. What about this one? Moves 4 from here, places a 4 there, forces a 4 here, which breaks box 5. Incredibly. Because essentially this sees this by knight's move. This sees both of these with Sudoku. So these cannot be orange, and in fact this cannot be 4. This can still be green. These are now 4s that are lining up. That's not a 4. Yeah, still not enough. Can I do... So, I mean, I really whittled this down. I'm guessing, just because of the whole symmetry of this puzzle, that I can probably do something very similar. I say symmetry, just imagine that there is a diagonal sort of going down this way, and you can see that there's a lot of symmetry. We're back to that topic again, you know, where the blues and greens are the same. The 4s have been consistent. They actually have been, because of these diagonals sort of forcing a lot of these decisions. Now, I imagine if I go through very similar knight move trickery in here, I can probably remove this 4, place a 4 in here, and that would give me, this would have to be 4, 6, 8. So that would be a very useful deduction and would give me a 4 in here. Let's see if we can prove that. So essentially, I should test these two 4s as probably something that would break the puzzle. Let's give it a go. If that's a 4, well, it sees this, it sees these. That would be 4, that would be 4, and we've broken the puzzle. Immediately, that's obvious. Can't put a 4 here, can't put a 4 there, can't put a 4 there because of knight move. That cannot be a 4. Gone. Last test here, if that's a 4, that won't be a 4, that would be a 4. Knight's move means that is not a 4, that is a 4. And again, we've broken box 3. So I think we're onto something here. That is not a 4. 4 is in one of these two cells. That is the 4 now. Doesn't actually give me any other 4s, but because this is even, it tells me that these have to be 6 and 8. So essentially, with the 4 inside the 18 cage, and you know, I said, remember how I said like probably 10 minutes ago, whoever knows how long I've been doing this, that the 18 cage is now looking interesting. It's only interesting because once you have a 4 in there, the remainder is 14. There's only 2 ways of getting to 14 with 2 cells. 6, 8 is one of them, 5, 9 is the other. The fact that this is a gray cell tells me that this is even, that's 6, 8, once the 4 is no longer in the even square. So, useful deductions. Right. Now we're on to, I mean, like, looking at this grid, I can only imagine the type of anti-knight move shenanigans we're going to have to get up to try and solve it from here. But that seems like the only way forward at this point. Let me have a think about this. Probably, I say probably, it'll be worthwhile coloring the 6, 8s. Let's first, let's think about box 5. We have a remainder of 5, 7, and 9 in here. Now, actually, I can do better. Where's 15 in box 4? Sorry, not 15. Where's 5 in box 4? 5 is none of these cells. 5 is not here. 5 can't be in the 15 cell where it would have to be joined with a 10, and it's clearly not a 1. So one of these is a 5. That's not a 5. That 7, 9 can only be one of these two cells. Getting a bit ahead of myself, I think. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Now, 15 is interesting because there's only 2 ways of doing 15, 6, 9, and 7, 8. Now, I essentially have like a virtual 6-8 pair between the 15 cage and the 18 cage. Because if this is a 6-9 pair, that would be 8. If this is a 7-8 pair, that would be 6. And then the rest of this row doesn't have 6 or 8. We've used them all up. So this cell here is actually really interesting. I'm going to color it. Well, I've cleared up purple. I'll use it. These are not purple. Night Move says this is not purple. Purple can only be in one of these two cells. And this cell, because we said there's a virtual 6-8 in here, if you remember, this cell has to be inside the 16 cage, sorry, the 15 cage. I'm going to go with orange. That is clear enough. That is different. Has to be somewhere in these two. Can I do better than somewhere in these two? Can I actually figure out which one it is? Doesn't seem possible at this point. Fives, fives, fives. Orange, orange, orange. Can't do the same with purple. Too many places where purple could be still. Essentially any of these 4 cells could still be purple, because I don't know which one of these they are. Come on, I've got to be able to do better. How do I do better? Do I want to color these? Not sure how it helps me, if I'm honest. Yeah, this is starting to get very tricky for me. Let's think about this a bit harder. So these are made up from 1, 8, because you can see there's no 8s anywhere in here, and 1 of 6, 7, or 9. That's still so many possible options. Is it really still that many options? I mean, the 6, 7 in particular, I really don't have any sort of virtual 6, 7s in here. It'd be really good to sort of identify, because we know that this orange 6-8 will be joined with a 7-9. It's just, I don't know if it's a 7-9 from here, a 7-9 from there. It's just, I need to be able to restrict the 6-8 to one of these two cells so I can actually make some deductions. And I'm just not seeing how I can do that, if I'm honest. 22 minutes. Problem is, I've sort of committed. I don't have anything else recorded. I have to finish this puzzle so that I stick to my daily schedule of 6 GMT every day. I may sort of come back to this 15K. It's not looking good, everyone. I may, even if it's a failure video, I may still post it anyway. Right, I'll come back to 15. Let me just think what else is interesting in this grid for a moment. And that is maybe an actually like a genuinely useful question. And I'll say to you, why is it a genuinely useful question? Yeah, here is a thought. It's actually a pretty good thought, I think. Let's think about column 5 for a second. And in fact, let's think about these 2 cells for a moment. And I'm picking these 2 cells very deliberately. And I need another color, yellow, for the sake of argument. Now the question is about column 5 is, where does yellow and orange go? And I can tell you They're not in these two cells. Because yellow and orange can see both of these cells with anti-night move. So yellow and orange are actually all the way up here, where this can no longer be a 4. This is yellow or orange, 6, 8, 7, 9. This is the only place the 4 can be now in box 2, which ironically doesn't help us at all with any of the remaining boxes. We're down to like a 4 X-Wing that we're going to have to solve later. It was such an epiphany. I thought it's going to actually like break the puzzle now and we can just race through it, but no. Now I know that this is from 5, 7, or 9. I mean, it's not the yellow 7 or 9. It's just this cell can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and both of the 6, 8s. With Sudoku and anti-night move, and the yellow 7, 9. So this is from 5, 7, and 9. I really don't want to go down this route, but I don't know what else to do here. So I am going to... Do I really need all of these colors? Because I'm starting to run low, if I'm honest. Looks like I will. That's gray. That is red. Whatever this is too. Where is red here? Still too many places. Yellow we've already established is in plenty of opportunity. We need to somehow restrict this. We really do. I just don't know how. I'll tell you what though. I have nothing if not a colorful grid right now. Come on, Sleuth, what are you missing? I'm sure not too far from now, some of you are going to be shouting at your screen and saying, Sleuth, just open your eyes. Here is this very obvious anti-night move that you're just not seeing for some reason. Maybe I just need to, rather than sort of keep looking for inspiration like this one, maybe the thing to do is just do a bit more steady coloring, so to speak, to try and see what else I may or may not be missing. I know that's not a great plan, but it's just, it is at least progress rather than just staring at the screen blankly for too long. Well, I'm back to this one. It's just, they're all so awkward that, even dominoes that normally help with this isn't very helpful. They're not really in great positions, most of them geometrically, to sort of eliminate tons of cells, and suddenly we can place some of them. So it's clearly going to be some sort of combination that I haven't really thought about just yet. And it sort of revolves around night move, the 15 cage, the 6, 7 arrow, and the 7 cage. Do I really want to go down that route of trying different, testing if this can be a 4? What happens if this is a 4? Green would become a 3. This would become a 2. This would become 6. That would be 7, 8. That would force this to be a 6. This would be purple. This would become 7, 8. This would become 8. I mean, nothing seems to break. And if that's 2, 5, did I just make totally the wrong deduction. It becomes 4, 3. Yeah, so that becomes 3, that becomes 2. So that was correct. That becomes 6. Now, if the reverse was true, that this is 2, 5, that's 2, that's 3, that's 7. That means this is 6, 9, that's 8. And I'm not seeing where it breaks, if I'm honest. I'm just not seeing it. Right, let's try a few different things. We know that these two are 5s. We know that this is not from 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. We know it's not red because it can see it. So this is either, I mean, it's still a very long list, 6, 7, 8, and 9, just not red. I don't really want to go around coloring tons of options like this. So I mean, 5 was interesting because of these. What about row 5? I've thought about column 5. I haven't really thought about row 5. Maybe I should be. Because I've done 1, 2, 3. I've restricted the 4. Maybe I should think about what these are. Maybe I should. Right. This is certainly 5 we know is definitely in there. In fact, even better, let's just think about this cell. This is not purple, not orange. This is 5 or 7 or 9 again. And it's not grey 7 or 9, it's not yellow 7 or 9, it's red 7 or 9, 5, 7 or 9. This is red. Right, red is starting to look very restricted in here. It's in one of these two cells. It may be worthwhile going around asking where red goes. And then red is all the way up here, together with green, and together with grey then. Isn't it? What is this going to be? So we've already placed... No, we still need to... So it's either a yellow or grey pair. Because grey is in none of these. This could still be grey. And then yellow would be in here. I feel like this is just this is so close to being it. It's just on the cusp of breaking. If I can just sort of see this through. And I certainly am going to start to sort of slowly blame my drink here that's slowing me down. What is this cell? It's not red, it's not yellow, it's not orange. So it's either purple or grey. It's not white. Let's just be more specific. It is purple or grey. Cannot be anything else. Yes. And then this presumably is purple or yellow. Again, cannot be anything else. It sees everything else. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the orange 6, 8 is up there, and then it sees both of these. So these two are extremely restricted in terms of options. And then orange is joined with either yellow or grey, depending on which one they are. Now, yellow is not this cell. It's just grey has so few restrictions, so few. If that's not grey, that wouldn't be grey. That would be grey. Possible. And if that's grey, then And purple, this is not 4. Absolutely incredible. This is the other purple or grey. Of course, I've spotted this trick earlier and then totally ignored trying to do the same thing here for some reason. So this is purple or grey, this is purple or grey, this is 4, that's not... For a second there I was thinking I finally solved it, but it isn't. Sleuth. Yes, people were shouting at their screens. Sleuth. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're going to try and... I don't know how I can edit that out, but man, I wish I could. Oh goodness. These are all 3s. These are all 2s. I speak very quietly here and never speak of what you guys have just witnessed again. These are 3s. This is 7. That tells me these are not 7s. This has to be the 7. Yellow. Right, all of this hard thinking was just so unnecessary. Goodness. Goodness me, not 7. Anyway, this is now 6-9 pair. 8, 6. Well, the good news is I've done a lot of hard thinking about this, and I've made some progress. That's got to be a 5 now. That's got to be an 8. This is now purple for sure. That gives me grey. Whatever grey is, it's 5 or 9. We know it is 9. 9 is grey. Red is 5. 5 is in one of these 2. Like I said, we shall never speak about this again. 6 and 9. Can it see anything? Seemingly not. Seemingly not. But that's okay. These are now 6-7 pairs. Not resolved for some reason. These are 1, 6, and 8, I think. Just write these in. That's not a 1. That's not a 6. Not sure I need the corner pencil marks anymore, if I'm honest. These are, 2, 5, and 7. Not 2. They're all quite far away from being able to be resolved this way, so we're not out of the woods yet. I'm guessing we're down to even more tricks with anti-night move that I'm really hoping I'm going to be able to see a little bit easier right now. Where do we go from here? 2, 5, and 7. 5 and 7. Whatever this cell is, it's neither of these 2. So that's not 7. This cell is the same as that one. It's not true to say anything else though. This cell could be either of these. So both of these for the moment could be 7. I mean, column 1 looks very tempting. What I need is 5, 6, and 9. Which I am going to just write in and see if there's anything I can eliminate. Because I haven't exactly colored these. I may have to do something here. Why is nothing seeing these? These 6, 9. It's just so odd. 9, 6. Nope, not seeing that. We've done all the 4s, not the 1s, not the 2s, not the 3s, but they're all restricted to X-wings. And it's really just back to the high digits. And I don't know if I just have way too many colors left in the grid that I'm not really able to see them. I am going to lose the 2s and the 3s. So I am going to lose the green. I am going to lose the blue. I don't need these anymore. But I do need these. I do need the remaining colors. I don't know if I need the 5s either, if I'm honest. 5s. 5s up here. It's not too far. In fact, here you go. There's something. That's not a 5. This 6-9 is different from that 6-9. I am going to remove all colors now and just recolor. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Not recolor, not remove things. Right. These we know are the same because it's not that cell. This will just give it some other random color. We'll come back to that. Orange, whatever it is, that 6-9 is down here. That's orange. Okay, let's have a think about where all of these go. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 already in here. 7 is not there. Yeah, not enough. You know, these two are the same. Again, not enough. 8. It really doesn't seem like there's anything that's clicking that's obvious for me. We know it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7. This is 6, 8, or 9. This is not the way to go about doing it. What am I missing? What is this? What is this cell? So it can be 1. It's not 2, 3, 4, or 5, or 9. And it's not whatever this is. So it's 1, the other 6, 8, or 5, or 7. Yeah, so something that I might do just in the interest of time, so you guys don't have to suffer through this, is maybe turn on some anti-night hints just to help me along a little bit. That might be something that I need to do. Or maybe restore colors for some of these cells where I'm not entirely sure. That's a bad idea because potentially it's orange. But I may have to do this. Red is not here. Red is not there. See, I'm just sort of trying to follow this logic around the 6-9. I need to use it in a useful manner because think if I can just start to place some of these things, that would be immensely helpful. So what do I know? So this could be 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5. Could be 6. Should have to be different from that. It's not 7, it's not 8, but it could be 9. Essentially, it could be 1 or orange. It's actually very restricted. Where does yellow go? Yellow is either here or this cell. I guess the same will probably be true. Come on, Sleuth, what are you not seeing? Some anti-night move. I am going to temporarily turn it on, ladies and gentlemen, just to see if I've missed anything extremely obvious. Check pencil marks on. Anything turned red? Nope. So rather than just walking around at random, I've done all the 4s, 1s, 2s, 3s, I've taken them as far as I can. Maybe I should just think about digits for a second. And I know 5s are quite restricted. 5s are in none of these, not here. 5 again is restricted to up there. Got the 2 5s. None of these, none of these. That's a 3-5 pair. Not something you can easily spot. But it gives me a bit of hope. That's now 7, 8, 9 as a triplet. Not quite like triplets, quadruples, but we are definitely making progress now. 5s, 5s, 5s. Where are 5s in here? They're still down in one of these 3 cells. They're all too far away to be really influenced, so that's not very helpful. Okay, let's remove 5s for a second. 6s, yeah, I can't see really anything, and I only have just the 1. Now that sees both of these, so I know this is not a 6. We've also determined it's not a 5, and it's not 9. So it's either 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not 5, we've ruled it out. It's not 6, it's 1 or 7 or 8. And then that's just too far, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think these are helping me just yet because it's confusing me with the orange. 3 5s, yeah, not quite. I can't use any of these trickeries. And the 5s we've sort of run out of steam. 7s. No, not really. Just because of these 2 7s. I'm sort of just mentally checking out where 7s can and cannot be and things like that. And it's just not very helpful. 8s may be more helpful. No 8s. No 8. 8 is up here. That is actually helpful. If that's not an 8, 8 is in one of these 2 cells, just Sudoku. I need it in row 3. This is the only place where the 8 can be. So this cell might actually now become interesting. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 8. Technically, it could be 6, 7, or 9. Not really helping my cause, if I'm honest. And again, if it's 6, 9, it's not the orange 6, 9. It's whatever this color is. I'm not going to go down that route of coloring just yet. Now we've got this 1, 6, 9 weird setup here. Yeah, but they could be the same. So you See, I always get so close to creating triplets, but not enough. Maybe what I need to be doing is trying rows and columns to see where, these, because, I've done all of these boxes or substantial amounts of these boxes. This is not a 9. And then one of these is an 8. Can I remove an 8 for some reason anywhere? Not really. It's actually really more this row that's interesting. I'm trying to see from the digits, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are really the digits I'm interested in. And where do they see them on these two rows that are within Knight's Move reach of the things that I've written in boxes 4, 5, and 6? It's kind of how I'm thinking about it. So one of these is a 5. One of these has to be an 8. I really have to be thinking about this. This row has done so much work. There are no 8s in any of these. That's a 5-8 pair. That means this is another 6, 7, 9. Yeah, you really don't expect some of these things that you're seeing. No, we've already established the no 5s thing. That's a 6, 7, 9 triplet. One of these has to be a 7. I don't see a problem with either. What about this column for a second? So we've got 1s, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's going on down here? What can they be? They can't be 5s. They can't be 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And specifically this cell. It can't be 7 either. It could be 6. It could be 8. Not 9 though. It is 6 or 8. Always so close, so incredibly close, but not quite. So essentially, I'm just almost. So really, what I should have been more careful is kind of if the construction or the solution path as I was coming through, and the fact that I missed this 4 for so long and these two 5s just really elongated this solve at this point, that this is now nearing an hour. 6 is on the bottom row in here. 6 is on the top row in here. 6 is in one of these two cells, which is also one of these two. We've got the next wing in here. 6 has got to be up here. These are 6s. Doesn't help us here though. Can this be a 6? Yes, it can. This was going so well, but again, it fizzled out. I haven't really spent enough time thinking about these triplets. I've tried a lot with this, but this triplet I've kind of ignored. I'm wondering if there's something there that I've been missing and I should be paying attention to, and it's highly possible. Let's think about this whole box for a second. I've written so much of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9. This is just 7 or 8. How are these cells so restricted? Yet I don't seem to be able to just make that break that I really need. Like, really need. You can see that this cannot be 7. But, we're back to this could be 6, 8, or 9. It's just too many options. This column. What is this cell? So it could be 1. It's not 2, 3, 4. Not 5. It's not 9. It's 6, 7, or 8. And it's not this 6, 8. I mean, 9 is so restricted in some of these places. Incredibly restricted. Only 2 cells with a 9. Only, not quite. Only 2 cells here. Is that what I'm looking for? Maybe cells that I can discount? Like I've done earlier with the 2 3s. It's just, once you've written so much into the grid, it's so hard to spot these things. Incredibly difficult to spot these things. You see, if these are 9s, that would put 6. That would be 8. 6, 6. Kind of dies a death. Okay, if that's 6, put 6s in here with 6s in there. This is 6s. Actually, in fact, that would just force a 6 in here. So we've got sort of a 6 X-wing, which I unbelievably didn't see for so long. So these are not... Why do I have 6 up here? But I'm allowing it to be there. Once I remove 6s from here, so that is accurate. I don't know if I need to have 6s. I could have had 6s in here. I just proved I could. So these corner pencil marks are actually misleading. This is not an accurate X-wing. Otherwise, did I just remove a 6 that I shouldn't have? Yes, I did. So that is not an X-wing. I've been incredibly helpful if it was. Don't know if a good night's sleep at this point will actually be helpful. Especially now that it's nearing 11 p.m. and I'm not a night owl for sure. You know, this 2 X-wing is still not resolved. What about 7? Let me just think about 7 for a second and see if I can make progress through that. 7, 8, 9 triplet wasn't helpful. Removing the 9 here wasn't. I mean, these... I'm sure you guys are screaming at your monitor, or some of you have already switched off by this point because you just couldn't take it anymore because I'm missing something incredibly obvious. Or worse, I made a mistake early on that's actually preventing me from seeing the solution path. I know so little about the grid for some reason. I know I've written a huge number of things in there, but when it comes to 8, I know an incredibly small amount about it. I'm just sort of stunned I got this far already. So let's just review what I know. I've used everything that I can from the Little Killer Clue. I've used everything I can from the 15, everything that I can from the 6, everything that I can from the arrow, everything that I can from almost all the cages. So it is purely anti-night move and Sudoku at this point. There's nothing else left on the table. Now I need a pair in here of 6, 7, and 9 to leave myself either 8 or 9 or 7 or 8. And can I still have a 6 really in here? That would make this 9. That would make this 7. That would make this 6. It feels like it shouldn't work if that is a 6. Why not? That's 6, 9, 7, 9, 1, 1, 8, 6. I've broken it. 6 would be 9, 9, 6. You can see now this has to be 7. 6, oh, excuse me, that wouldn't have to be a 9. This could be a 1. Don't know why I thought that could be a 1. And then that would be an 8. No, that was a mistake, excuse me. Maybe it's in the ones. What do I need to be doing about the ones? These X-Wings I've got to resolve. I really need to. So I know one of these is in here. Challenge is the other one could be either of these. It doesn't actually have to be in there. Can I really not see anything to do with this 15 cage? Can I not place the digits in here? Really doesn't seem like it, does it? Maybe that is what I should focus on though. It's just coloring some of these, like coloring them a bit better rather than the half-hearted attempt that I've done so far. And I think I am just going to do that. I am going to color a lot more. I don't know what this is, but it's going to be different. We know that these two are the same because, yeah, these two have to be different. That is orange. Then orange has to be down on one of these two slots. If this is 9, it's implying that there's a 9 in here. Well, specifically that 9 is there. I don't see a problem with that. That's not green. Purple. Where does purple go? None of these. Purple would then be one of these two cells. Purple is none of these. It's one of these two. One of so many. Purple is not here. This could be orange or a 1. Let's just color ones. What have I not used? Blue. This is blue or orange. Now, what if it is orange? What happens here? I'd need orange up here. No, see, I don't think this is useful. I think what I should do is maybe stick with these for a second, because we were clearly guided from box 5 to look at these cells and these cells, and somehow we were able to fill in the 8, 9, but not the 6, 7. What a world of difference that would be if I can actually figure out what these are. So maybe that is what I should be thinking about. None of these are yellow. This is not yellow. Yellow is in one of these. Yellow is none of these, not here. One of these is yellow. Purple. Purple is actually quite restricted. Purple is in one of these too, which means purple is one of these two. These are purple, yellow. We know that. So yeah, purple. None of these are purple. Anti-night move. None of these are 6 or 7. It's one of these two cells. It's one of these two cells. Now, yellow, come on. Why can I not restrict it any further? One of these is yellow. Why is that helpful? It is interesting because yellow is in none of these. So, what are the remaining cells for a second? And look at that. No 5s in any of these. Because 5 can see these with anti-night move. So this is 5 yellow, which means this cannot be a 9. And this is 5, 6, or 7. Can't be anything else, because if that's 5, that would be 6, and that would become yellow. If that's 5, that has to be yellow. That's 6 or 7. It's not 8 or anything else. Which leaves us with purple, which is the other 6, 7, and 8 and 9 in these 3 cells. And we don't know if purple is 6, but we do know that, or 7, we know that there has to be 8, 9 in these 3 cells, and then purple. So if yellow is 6, 7 would be, well, 7, then this would be a 5, 6 pair, and this would be 7, 8, 9. Yes. If yellow was 7, that would be 8, that would be 6, and that would be 9. 9 is so likely to be here for some reason. Purples are very tidy, at least in this. And this, for the moment, could still be purple. 6 and 7, yeah. I feel like I'm onto something here. I just cannot quite see it, and I just really would like to. There's a few places that are just under quite a lot of tension that I just need to keep focusing on. And these two are immensely under it. So 7 is none of these. 7 is still one of these 3 cells. 6, none of these, but it could still be one of these 3 cells. It's just, I can't seem to restrict it to one box either. What about 8s? I keep coming back to what about 8s? These have to be 6s, I accept. And I'm not missing any triples. I'm not missing, goodness me, 70 minutes. I may have to just, I don't know, cut this video and all of this wandering around. So tempting to just bifurcate at this point and see where it breaks and then walk back. Right, let's enable pencil conflict checking. Just in case I've made a silly mistake somewhere and I'm not seeing these anti-knight moves. And maybe I should just try seeing what else is around. We know we've restricted the 5s to here. So this is from 1, 7, 8, and 9. This is just too many options. 3, 5 is fine. Where does yellow go in this box? This could be yellow. Should make yellow 7. Yellow. No 7s in here. If yellow is 7, let's just try that. If yellow is 7, it is kind of like bifurcation, let's be honest though. None of these would be 7s. This would be 7. This would be 7. This would be 7. And then one of these would be 7. And one of these would be 7. So all of that looks fine. If yellow was 6, then 6. Sorry, before we move on from yellow as 7, if it's 6 is purple, 6, 6. That would have been 7. That would have been then 6, 6, 6, 6. That would have been the yellow, because that's the only one that would have been 7. That would have been 5. That would be purple. That would be purple. And that's all the purples. Of course, one more in here that breaks. Is that how you're meant to see it? That can't be right. Really? Right, let's just prove this for a second. Seven, 6. And I'm deliberately leaving checker on. Remember, one of these has to be 7. That can only be this one now. One of these had to be 5 because of this knight move. That becomes the 5. That becomes the 6. That becomes the 6. That becomes the 6. Restricting to 6 in one of these now. Let's just focus on 6 in here. That's 6. That's the only place where 6 can be now. That's 6. And then I have nowhere left for it to be in box 1. That can't be the path. I just cannot believe that. Let's just disable pencil marking again. And now yellow is 6. That is 7. Therefore, this is 7. 7. It's the only one that could have been purple. 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 I need purple on the bottom row. So one of these is purple. One of these is purple. Oh, hang on. That's not true. Yeah, that is true. That's not purple. These were not purple. That has to be it, because that's not... This is 6 or 8. So yeah, nice move. That's 7. That's 8. These are not 8s. This is 7, 9. Can I resolve these? Not at the moment, but that's clearly not 7 anymore. Yeah, it doesn't mean that there's a 7 in here. In fact, there is a 7 there. That's got to be the 7. That's a 9. That can't be a 6 anymore. It's within reach of nice move. That's now a 5-6 pair. That's not a 7. Therefore, this is a 9. Sorry, I'm being very cautious now because that just seems unbelievable that that's the solution path. It really does. Incredibly, this 6-9 is persisting. It's like haunting me all the way to the end. No, we just still don't have a 6 X-Wing. 8. No, this can still be an 8. So we know we have a 7 in here. That's not 6 anymore, clearly. That's 5 or 8. In fact, 9 can only be now in there. So in here, I've got 5, 7, and 8. That's not a 7. That's the 7. Just knight move. That's 5 or 8. That gives me the 7 up here. Not 7. That's a 2-5 pair. That's the only place for 7 now. That's another 2-5 pair. You can kind of rely, you know, this is, normally would be a deadly pattern, but obviously with knight's move, this is probably going to help us. Most likely this will be a 5 to resolve the 2-5. Not too worried about that. Sorry, I am being a little bit muted because I'm just stunned by how this has turned out. I'm actually not that upset about how long it took me to spot this because there must be something else I've missed. That 9 gives me that 6. Remember, this had to be the same. That's the 9 now. That's the 6 now. That's a 9. That's a 5. That's a 6. That's an 8. That's a 5. That's not 5 or 6, it's 9. This is now a 1-8 pair. Come back to that. That has to be the 8 in this row, which gives me the 1, the 8, the 1 again. What is that? That is 6. That 5 gives me the 3, and the 5, and the 5 gives me the resolution of the 2 and the 5 that I mentioned earlier. This is the 3, the 6. I need 8 and 9. That 9 gives me the order. 9 and 8. That is a 6. That's another 1-8 pair. In fact, that's another 5, 5. So that's another 1-8 pair. And there's probably, yeah, that 8 tells us the order. That's 1, that's 1, that's 8, and that's 8. Yeah, that's an embarrassingly long time, 80 minutes. I am going to still post it. I hope that you guys do a lot better than I have. But I can't help but say that trying to figure out which one was a 6 and 7 felt very much like bifurcation. And then maybe you guys will point out something that I've missed that would have just gone way quicker than what I've done. But for the emailer about this puzzle, I guess that's probably one of the reasons why I don't take puzzles via email. Hopefully that helps you with your path and your solve. But maybe you've made the past 6, 7 in a more elegant way. Really looking forward to your comments about it. And only thing left to say is to, well, say hopefully you guys enjoyed the puzzle. Don't know about the video. I'll read your comments and figure that out. Bye-bye for now.